Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. The Atlanta Braves are off to the World Series for the first time since 1999. A.J. Pollock to Dansby Swanson, and it is the Braves that will advance after winning 4-2 over the Los Angeles Dodgers to take Game 6 of the NLCS. They advance 4 games to 2 as well. Win their 18th National League pennant in their first in 22 years. So the Dodgers, who had won 7 straight elimination games coming into Saturday night, could not get the series to that decisive Game 7. Their season ends after an historic 106-win campaign. Atlanta now gets set to take on Houston for the World Series title. Game 1 set for Tuesday night in H-Town. First pitch at 8:09 p.m. Eastern Time, and the odds are already out. Astros minus 150, while the Braves are plus 130 as you take a look at the box score. Big win for Atlanta as they return to the World Series for the first time since 1999. They last won a World Series title back in 1995. For some instant reaction to the results, let's now welcome in CBS Sports baseball analyst and a World Series champion himself, Will Middlebrooks. Will, for the first time this century, Atlanta will contend for a World Series title. What's your reaction on the job they did in Game 6, finishing off the Dodgers?
Yeah, it just felt good watching those guys celebrate. It looked a little different than when the Dodgers celebrate because those players have been there before. They've won before. There's a ton of guys on the Braves teams that have never been in this situation. So they finished 18 wins back at the Dodgers. Let's not forget that. I mean, the Dodgers had 106 wins, which isn't normal, but 88 wins to win the division in the NL East. They get into the playoffs, and that's just a testament to the postseason. You just never know what can happen. You just get in the tournament, you get a chance. And they got hot at the right time. They got Eddie Rosario, who is on fire right now. I feel like that's an understatement. I mean, he had an OPS of over 1,700 in this series. He's hitting almost 500 in the postseason. Just big knock after big knock, and he seems to just keep coming up in those big situations. So they're just rolling right now. They're, like I said, they're the team that got hot at the right time, and that always tends to be the team that gets to the World Series.
Well, they went up 3-1, and of course, we were always hearkening back to what happened last year. We're constantly reminding the Braves about that, but it really didn't seem to bother them. How big was this win psychologically for them as they now get set to take on the Astros?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, was it in their head? Yeah, a little bit. But, I mean, it's a different group of guys. It's a different year. Baseball, you really have to learn how to have short memory, day to day, at bat to at bat. So it was in the back of their mind. I don't think it was that big of a deal to this group of guys, considering all they've dealt with this year, losing Acuna, losing Ozuna, not having Soroka after he re-tore his Achilles. So they've dealt with adversity all year. This was nothing new.
How do you think that those losses of those players not being able to play in the World Series is going to affect them?
Well, you're having guys step up. I mean, like I said, Rosario and Austin Riley, who has been good. I mean, he had an MVP type season. We haven't really talked about him much because of the likes of Harper and Tatis and guys like that. But what Austin Riley's been able to do production-wise is right there with Freddie Freeman. And he plays a really solid third base as well. He can fill in at first base. He can play the outfield if you need him to. He's been a great addition. So, yeah, it does hurt. You lose a lot of production in Ozuna and Acuna. Those are two of the best players on their offense. Acuna is one of the best young players in baseball. So, yeah, of course you lose that production. But it's almost sometimes when you lose a star player, your team gets closer. You come together. You do it for your boys. You want to, go do it for the city, and especially when nobody expects you to do it. When they didn't sell at the deadline, I was flabbergasted. I was like, what are they doing? What do they believe in? And then they weren't a 500 ball club until early August. And now we look up and they go to the World Series. Baseball is baseball. It will always just be weird.
Certainly doing it for the A. Before we came on and we were kind of watching that last out together, Will, you were talking about Will Smith, who was your teammate when you were in Milwaukee. How impressed are you with the performance that he's had in this postseason?
Yeah, great guy. One of my favorite teammates I had. And I never thought he'd be a closer. He was always a great lefty reliever. He could come in and get lefties out. And then later in his career, they started to figure out, oh, he can get righties out as well. He kind of has his splits are pretty even. You know, he has a good slider, good fastball. But, with the way hitting has changed and approaches have changed at the plate, those splits have evened up, and he's turned into a really good ball player. So, we see this with teams in the postseason. You need to have a strong back end of your bullpen, someone you can rely on. When you look at Boston, they didn't have a closer, and that hurt them in the postseason. So, them having him to lean on the late innings is definitely gives them some confidence going in the World Series.
What was the turning point for you in this particular decisive Game 6, Will?
It's got to be the fourth inning. I mean, Snitker, 2 outs, d'Arnaud gets on first base. He's not a good runner, so I'm thinking Anderson's coming up, and he pinch hits for him. And I initially did not like that. I thought he was over-managing there, trying to get a little cute. That's why I'm not a manager in the big leagues. It's going to take two hits to get d'Arnaud in because he's not fast. He's not fleet of foot at all. And Adrianza comes in, broken bat, double, second and third. Rosario comes up, obviously in a big spot. He has all postseason, and I really thought they would walk him there. I really expected the Dodgers to either pitch around him or walk, but you don't want to pitch around and risk the pass ball and then let the run in. And I thought they'd take their chance with Freddie Freeman. I never thought I'd say that, but in this situation with Rosario and as hot as he is, I didn't think they'd pitch to him, and sure enough, it worked out. I even tweeted, I don't think this is a good idea, and of course it worked out for Snitker. He's hitting all the right buttons right now.
Coming into the game, you had tweeted out about Walker Buehler, and there was some concern about him being on short rest. But I mean, what did you think about the performance he was able to put in early for the Dodgers here?
It was a gritty outing. I mean, 3 days rest. I mean, a normal day, 5 days rest. And you look at his full body of work this season. He was one of 4 guys that throw 200 plus innings. He came into today, or he finished today at 236 innings on the season. That is a ton. He never thrown more than 195 in his career. So he was tired. He ran out of gas. And like I said, he needed at least one more day of rest to be fully effective. And I think we could see that with his command. The stuff was there. He was still 95, 96. We saw 97 a few times. So the stuff was there. The slider had good break, but I saw a lot of misses arm side. So when he's trying to go away to righties, it's leaking back middle. That's telling me he's trying to overthrow to compensate, trying to get more velocity because he knows he doesn't have his best stuff, so he's trying to throw harder, hurt your command, you leave it over the middle, and give up some big hits.
And of course, he's got all offseason to think about the performance on this particular night. So let's talk about the Braves advancing to face the Houston Astros, a team that won 7 more games than they did this past season, a team that has endured these past few seasons. They're battle-hardened, Will, after the sign-stealing scandal. What type of series are you expecting here?
I could see this one going the distance. I really could see this one going 6-7 games. I think advantage pitching is the Braves. We don't know if McCullers is going to be available. That could change my opinion on that if McCullers is there. But what we saw from Valdez and Garcia the last 2 games versus Boston, they're going to give them a good chance to win just because of how good their offense is. Now Atlanta, with Max Fried and Charlie Morton, Ian Anderson, they have Drew Smyly who can give them length out of the bullpen as well. They have good arms. We know that. And we saw their studs with Matzik tonight coming in, get big outs in the 7th and the 8th, and then Will Smith closing it down. And Minter's been good all year for them as well. So it's going to be a tough series. I think we're going to see a lot more offense than you normally see in a World Series, not as pitching heavy. I think we're going to see some high-scoring games.
12 straight postseason appearances without reaching the World Series, which of course ties a record for the Atlanta Braves, but they are back in it now looking for their first World Series title since 1995. Will, is there a particular part of the lineup, particular couple of players that you're going to focus on in terms of the matchup here between these two teams?
Well, for the Astros, it all starts with Jose Altuve. I mean, what he does, he leads that offense. He gets it going because he's at the top of that lineup. But I mean, you look at their whole entire lineup. We saw what Yordan Alvarez did. We saw their batting. Gurriel won a batting title in the 7-hole. Yet guys got Kyle Tucker coming out of nowhere, having great series. So I don't know if there's a particular part of the order for the Astros because 1 through 9, really 1 through 7, they're the best 1 through 7 in baseball. So that's where I think it's going to be more of a high-scoring game. Atlanta's offense is rolling right now. I don't know if Rosario can sustain the success he's having right now because he's on another planet. But they have a good offense. We know that. Riley's good. Freeman's good. Even Soler coming off the bench, we saw a good at bat from him tonight. This is going to be an offensive battle. I do think the Astros have the definite advantage offensively, though.
Well, they are minus 150 as the early odds come out. Braves sitting at plus 130. Will, I mean, it's early. Give us a pick here.
That's tough. I need to see if McCullers is going to be there or not, but I'm going to go with the Astros, and I want it for Dusty Baker. Just what he's been able to do and his longevity of his career. He's been put in a tough spot to manage that team after the cheating scandal and all that, and what he's done there has been impressive. And these guys just have a huge chip on their shoulder. They want to prove to the baseball world that they can do it without having to bang a trash can or relay signs or whatever it may be. They want to prove for their careers going forward that they're actually really good baseball players. They don't have to cheat to win. And so that means a lot to them. It goes beyond just winning this year. This is for the rest of their careers.
Think Blue finished an historic season of disappointment, 106 wins. They won 7 straight elimination games dating back to last season versus Atlanta on their way to the title, but they fall short in the repeat bid. Lose Max Muncy, Justin Turner, the issues with Scherzer going into Game 6. Joe Kelly goes out. How much did that affect things, and what now for the Dodgers, Will?
Oh, it definitely. I mean, you have injuries like that. I mean, the first things first, they got to get healthy, and then figure out what you're going to do with Cal Seager. Or Corey Seager, excuse me, not Big Brother. Corey Seager, he's a free agent. Are you going to re-sign him, or are you going to let Trey Turner play shortstop? I think you do everything you can do to keep Seager and have those two play up the middle. Muncy will be back with that elbow. He'll be back. They thought maybe he'd be back if they made it to the World Series, so I don't think that's going to be too serious. Clayton Kershaw's in a position where he's probably going to get a qualifying offer. And then you really just need to figure out that starting rotation. This is a team that came into the season in April with an overabundance of starting pitching. They had 7 starting pitchers. They had Dustin May go down. They have Trevor Bauer with his off-the-field issues, and then Kershaw being hurt. And they finished the season with 3 starting pitchers. Who could have ever predicted that with the amount of money they had, the payroll they have, and just the stardom they had? So baseball's unpredictable, as I said earlier. I think they're going to be just fine because in baseball it tends to be that money fixes most of the problems, and they have plenty of that.
He is CBS Sports baseball analyst, World Series champion Will Middlebrooks, joining us to discuss the Atlanta Braves making sure there will be a new world champion after eliminating the holders in 6 games on Saturday night. They advance 4 games to 2 over the Dodgers. They will take on the Houston Astros, reach the World Series for the first time since 1999. They last won a World Series title back in 1995. 22 years without a pennant. That ended tonight. 12 straight postseason appearances without reaching the World Series. That ends tonight. The teams have met in the postseason 5 times. In the National League Division Series, the Braves advancing to take on the Houston Astros. Game 1, Tuesday night, 8:09 p.m. Eastern for first pitch.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.